Hello there and welcome to The Great Cake Bake. I'm Sian Lloyd, and in this brand new series we'll be meeting a variety of brides-to-be, all with one thing in common: a dream to find the perfect wedding cake. So we've scoured the land to come up with the top cake makers who will help them realise this dream. And in each show, the top designers will conceive from scratch the most elaborate, daring and breathtaking cake imaginable. All the bride-to-be has to do is to choose the one she wants to grace her wedding day. Sounds like a great recipe for a wonderful show. So without more ado, let's meet today's bride.
Hi, is it Becki?
Hi, yeah, I'm Becki the nutritionist. Nice to meet you. Help yourself to a seat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Michael and I met about 12 years ago at school, and we were actually childhood sweethearts. Unfortunately, we didn't stay together the first time round. He was a little bit older than me, went off to university, and it kind of finished there for the time being. Coincidentally bumped into each other 10 years later, and it started up again from there. It was very strange. We both realised, oh, this is it, isn't it? And ever since then, been inseparable. We're very, very similar. So many times we think the same thing. We've sort of texted each other the same thing at the same time without knowing. Find the same ridiculous things funny. Same tastes in music and clothes and activities. So we both like going to the gym, trying to keep fit. Both really big into food as well. We've got a real quest to go around to all the celebrity chef restaurants. We love doing that. On July the 4th in Las Vegas, so Independence Day, which is a big deal out there, we'd been for a meal at the Eiffel Tower restaurant at the Paris Hotel, then went over to the Bellagio fountains to watch the fireworks and obviously the fountains. Then the next thing I know, he'd lined up a song, one of our songs, for me to listen to on his iPod. I looked around and there he was down on one knee with a big sparkly rock saying, "Will you marry me?" The next thing, the whole of Vegas Strip knew that I'd got engaged. I was screaming and crying and hysterically trying to phone everyone at home, even though it was 4:30 in the morning here. As soon as the ring was on my finger, I was full on into wedding planning. It's so much fun. I've got 101 magazines all around the house. Ever since I can remember, I've always been very much into a fairy tale, full on glamorous wedding. I'm really keen and hoping to have the Cinderella pumpkin carriage for the wedding. Again, Michael is taking a little bit of convincing on that at the moment. I really don't like being average. I want everything to be slightly different. Some would say a little bit over the top. I wouldn't use the word tacky, but we're bordering on a little bit of tongue-in-cheek fun with some elements of the wedding. One of my ideas was to have pink lambs at the wedding, but unfortunately an August wedding, that isn't going to be practical. So now I'm looking at unicorns. We're going to have black and white with a bit of hot pink and lots of glitter and sparkle and crystals. For the cake, it can be as big and as outrageous and as crazy as possible. I like very much the idea of sort of the sculpted cakes rather than just the traditional three-tier ideas. It can have sort of things coming off it, or it doesn't just have to be your bog standard plain icing. I'm really open to ideas and more creative, and the more memorable the better. Just a real centerpiece for everyone to go wow at, and hopefully it's going to taste as good as it will look as well. As far as the cake topper goes, possibly something to do with us, or along the line of maybe the carriage or our initials, again very big and over the top and sparkly. I don't mind whether it had ribbons or other adornments sort of on top of it or coming out of it even, sort of feathers and crystals. Just the bigger and the more wow, the better. And I think another word that my friends often call me, quite ironically, is subtle, which the wedding definitely won't be.
Great stuff, Becki. I know just the people to sort you out a fantastic cake.
Hello, I'm Linda Fripp. My company is called Linda Fripp Designs. We're based in Salisbury, Wiltshire, and we make special cakes for special people. I got involved in the cake business really by accident. I used to have my own catering company. I've always been a chef all my life, and food is just everything for me. I don't really have a typical bride. They're all so different, and this is the way we approach all our clients. Everyone's an individual, our cakes are individuals. The cakes I like creating most are the ones where the client says, "I know you'll do a lovely job, Linda, I'm leaving it to you." And we can go wild, and it's such fun, and it's exciting to unveil it on the day.
Hello, I'm Mitch Turner and I'm from London's Little Venice Cake Company. Been working with high-profile weddings for the last 10 years, but also look after a number of other occasions such as birthdays, celebrations, christenings, anniversaries. I've written 3 books, with the 4th one most recently commissioned, detailing very much on the intricate craftsmanship of cake design. My own style of wedding cake tends to be very classical, very stylised, lots of tiers that we work within a wedding cake. It's what people recognise as being symbolic of a wedding. We have a number of cakes in our collection that are stylised and iconic as being like our catwalk portfolio. But in addition to that, I very much enjoy the brief of receiving very bespoke commissions where I get the opportunity to be incredibly creative, inspirational, and pull on lots of ideas and experience to create a complete individual masterpiece. I like to very much work depending on what the rest of the theme of the wedding is, so taking into account one or two colours, bringing in a sort of a monochrome with a dash of red, or going very, very sweetie orientated with sort of pinks and greens, or if it's working with a more natural, neutral nature tones, we use a lot of, the pinks and the greens and the whites. So colour is important.
I'm Elizabeth Solaru. I run Elizabeth's Cake Emporium. We're based in North London. I started the company a few years ago as a result of a reaction I got to cakes I made for friends and family. I'm pleased to say the company has gone from strength to strength. We do cakes for all occasions, so weddings obviously, but we do celebration cakes for birthdays, for christenings, for bridal showers in particular. When I'm thinking of a new cake, it tends to come from either fashion magazines or it might be something I'm wearing. I'll look at the pattern and I'll immediately think of how I can replicate that in 3D form on a cake. People still have tiered cakes for weddings, but however, there has been an emergence of cupcake towers. It's very, very good for a wedding that's not too formal. It's good to customise accordingly.
Well, we have our bride, we have our 3 cake makers. All we need now are some cakes. Still to come on The Great Cake Bake.
Becky's also working on having unicorns at the wedding. Oh gosh, magic them out of a hat.
It's quite a time-consuming cake to make, but the impact will be quite something.
It's very tempting sometimes to throw the kitchen sink at something.
How could any girl not love these?
So 3 amazing cakes are being cooked up and we'll be ready for a tasting right after this break. Hello there and welcome back to the show. We've 3 top cake makers poised to come up with the most staggering cake ever to win over the affections of bride-to-be Becki. So let's see what they come up with on the theme of glamour.
The worst brief for me to receive would be something very specific about quite a gaudy novelty style cake with lots of pink feathers and very, very kitsch and very, very sugary sweet and everything that I'm not.
Oh, this is exciting. Let's see what we've got. Becki Hawkins from Coventry. She wants a glamour-themed cake. Lovely.
I like it. Becki and her fiance are both food cake mad. Good.
And love visiting celebrity restaurants.
Great. Becki is a nutritionist, much like myself.
So food is a big part in her life.
So I can see already that this cake is going to be a big, big statement of their wedding.
Becki's cake needs to be tongue-in-cheek glamour.
Wow.
The wedding is having a Cinderella pumpkin carriage.
A bubble machine.
And pink lambs.
Becki's also working on having unicorns at the wedding. Gosh, magic them out of a hat.
Becki is keen on silver, black, pink and white as colours.
And wants the cake to have as much pizzazz as possible.
That sounds fun.
Okay.
So it would be nice to see if we can have, rather than a bride and groom on top of the cake, maybe a pair of unicorns.
When I hear the word glamour, I tend to think instantly of kind of Hollywood glamour, the very sort of Marilyn Monroe, very, very flawlessly polished.
I think that the word glamour is curvaceous to me, and so the cake should be curvaceous.
There could be a Cinderella carriage with her looking out of it and with her groom waiting to receive her.
Cinderella's Eyes meets Prince Charming's, and all the other music fades away and everything goes silent, and it's just when their eyes lock and she's in her completely flawless dress.
I think if we give her a cake with a wow that really makes her feel Hollywood.
What you have is a very elegant cake but still blends all her elements in without it being over the top.
So what are you waiting for, cake makers? Spatulas at the ready. It's a battle to the end.
I'm going to go for a tall, impressive cake. I think we'll go 4 tiers. I'm going to separate those tiers, I think, with some plinths. I think we'll sit the cake on some glass, and then we'll cover the whole cake with, I think, some beautiful filigree roses that we'll make in a sugar parchment. We'll put a little touch of Diamante around to give it a bit of sparkle and bling. It's quite a time-consuming cake to make, but the impact will be quite something, I think. Hopefully she'll be thrilled. Now, when you're making a tiered cake, you've got to make sure all your depths are completely correct. So you need to trim off any of the little bits that don't suit. Now, I always take off the top, I always take off the bottom. What I'm going to do is just layer the cake up with some vanilla creme au beurre, which is a lovely French recipe we make, less thickly than the English version of buttercream, and we'll just put a nice little layer. Now, because it's all going to be trimmed, I don't do it right to the edge because I don't want to waste. I've put my first layer in, and now we'll put some jam on the next layer. Now, if you're going to be putting any alcohol or drizzles in, it would be at this stage that you do it. Put in loads of lovely jam. And now we put the next layer of buttercream on. Try and get it as level as possible at this stage. Okay, we'll put the last piece of cake on top. And I think that's going to be sufficient for our depth. Press it flat. What we need to do now is just to trim off the edges. Nobody wants the crusts. If you're making a wedding cake, you want to bake a cake in a tin 2 inches larger than the actual tier should be. So if you're making a 6-inch tier, then you know you need to bake an 8-inch cake. You may say it's a bit wasteful, but it isn't because you can use all the trimmings. We've got other little things we do with them. If you can do this as a chilled cake, it's always much easier. Just checking that it's level. And if you see a bit that's a little bit taller than the other, it's a wee bit taller there, then you just smarten it up. I'm using a serrated knife. Don't use a plain knife, you'll tear the cake too much. Making sure that each tier is completely flat, completely level, and it will have completely straight sides. Now we're just going to finish off the edges, ready for icing. And this will give us a good foundation. If you're going to ice it for a perfect, smooth, rolled on icing, then we'd be giving this probably 2 or 3 coats to make it absolutely perfect, because every indentation would show through as a shadow. Sides don't matter so much. We don't have to be quite so particular, as they're going to be covered in all these beautiful roses. So I'm quite happy with that boy.
This is someone who obviously would like different shapes and different textures, and she wants a bit of fun as well. So what I thought I'd do is incorporate 2 shades of pink, incorporate some bows, because bows are very, very much in fashion now. Have some very tiny black blossoms. Black is very difficult to use in cake decorating. You've got to be very careful it doesn't overpower everything. What I've also decided to use was these silver dragées. They're heart-shaped ones, and I thought they'd work very well as borders around the white part of the cake. The dragées that I've decided to use are actually chocolate-scented ones with a thin silver coating. It's very tempting sometimes to throw the kitchen sink at something, especially if you've been given a whole array of colours, but it's nice to be able to stick to certain key elements and then do features, or you can make certain colours pop. So that's why I've decided to use the black on the pink, and also use a petal-shaped cake as the middle tier, because it has similar connotations to the pumpkin carriage that Becki will be having on the day. I really like using blossoms a lot because it's very feminine and it's a very wedding-y flower. Also, sticking to traditional white makes sure that there's some balance in terms of colours. I'm going to be putting on the band of silver dragées. I'll probably have about 2 layers or thereabouts. So I'm just using a little bit of glue, and I'll stick that on, and I'll leave it for a few seconds to glue. And then I'll take another one. A cake like this takes obviously hours, because each dragée has to be positioned accurately, because there's going to be another layer on top, so even a millimetre of one being off can affect the rest. The dragées have different sides to them actually. It's not an equilateral, so you've got to make sure that the right side is actually the one that's sticking up. But that's why you need quite a bit of patience to do this bit.
So for Becki's cake, I know that she wanted a lot of pink and white. So what I've done is created a cake that's very cohesive, very beautiful glamour, but what I want to do is bring an essence of breathtaking formality to the cake. So I've come up with an idea of doing a 4-tier round cake, and the tiers are going to be covered in alternating shades of white and pink. Between the 3rd and 4th tier, I'm going to separate the tiers and block with a beautiful cascading ring of handmade sugar roses, which are all going to be in pink, and I'm going to glitter them all. And then between these roses, which are all going to be very delicate, I'm going to do hand ribbon bows of organza in pink and white, so that we've got that essence of real fairy tale Cinderella beauty. I'm going to do hand pipe detail on the actual cake themselves, so I'm going to do pearls and a little fleur-de-lis design. I don't want it to look like a candy floss explosion. You know, I want to have a real sense of Cinderella is meeting Barbie. I wouldn't be heartbroken if she didn't choose this cake, if there was another that she felt encompassed her designs more, but I just couldn't bring myself to put bubbles and fairy tale coaches on my cake. Okay, so this is the pink petal paste. It's much more elastic, as you can see, than the sugar paste. It's because it has a much higher concentration of a product called gum tragacanth, which enables the paste to be rolled really, really thinly and then helps the icing to set really, really firm. So we use this when we're making flowers, petals, roses, that kind of thing, which are not essentially going to be eaten, but it means that we can make them really, really fine. The thinner you get it, the more delicate the flower. But it's a lot stiffer to roll out and takes a bit more kneading. And then I'm going to use a trio of cutters. And what we do is we put those on the paste, press down. Take the largest petal first and put it onto a little foam pad. And then using the ball tool, the end of this tool here, is rub this around the edge of the petals. And what that does is it thins them out and gives them a really nice, delicate finish. And then the whole rose gets put onto a drying pod. And this is where we get to have fun, because we're going to shake our glitter. It's termed edible glitter. Whether you would actually want to eat it, I think is entirely down to you. I'm just going to spray them first, which is with an edible varnish. What this does is makes the flowers shiny, but also acts as a glue, so it means the glitter will really stick to the roses. How could any girl not love these? Look at those! They are beautiful!
So, as we speak, our three top cake makers are cooking up a storm. Let's hope it turns into high pressure. Talking of which, why not meet our bride-to-be, Becki Hawkins.
Hi,
Hello there, Becki.
Hi.
A warm welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Very excited.
You've got very broad blinkers because your wedding has all sorts of weird and wonderful things, doesn't
We're
it?
hoping, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a spectacle, I think.
Yeah, well, as a Welsh girl, I'm relating to the sheep. You have pink sheep?
Well, we were trying to get them, but apparently it's quite difficult to get lambs in August, so still working on that one.
Now, one thing that bothers me, you strike me as a bit of a designer girl. Looking at you,
Yeah,
very
that's been
glam. What if you don't know your cake designer? What if you've never heard of them? Would that bother you?
Doesn't matter, as long as it looks good. I think you
Right.
don't really have a label on cakes as much.
Well, I think we should now look at the first cake. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Right, cake number 1 coming up.
Wow. It's got the bling with the beads around it. It's got a bit of pink in, which obviously goes with our day. It's quite big. I think we could fit a super glamorous cake topper maybe on top of that.
And I think those flowers are amazing.
They're lovely.
all handmade.
Wow.
Each one, I think, takes more than 20 minutes to make.
That's a lot of work on
And
into
there's
it.
a lot of flowers. And you like the Diamante
Definitely, yeah.
edging.
Well into the sparkle.
You know, with your health penchant, you could even have a carrot cake
Well,
underneath.
yeah, funny you say that. Both mine and my fiancé favourite cake probably is carrot cake, so that may be something we'd consider.
With the top, what, you'd put something maybe more traditional on top?
We quite like the diamante letters with the names, or even I have seen a cake topper of the Cinderella carriage that I'm having as well, so.
Was Jordan your role model for this
No,
wedding?
no. There's lots of elements of our wedding that are going to be slightly tongue-in-cheek and a bit fun, but hopefully not quite to that extreme where tacky comes into it.
So I think now we should move on to cake number 2.
Okay. Ah, wow. The colours are absolutely spot on for what we're hoping for the wedding. It's got all the different layers which are each slightly alternative but within the theme. It's got the sheep on the bottom, which I've just noticed, they're brilliant, and the unicorn on top. Oh wow. I love it.
And you know, it strikes me, there's something quite sexy about that middle layer of that
There is,
cake,
yeah, it's
isn't
all
it?
a little bit sort of burlesque, isn't it?
It is, and the black highlights
Yeah.
that too, those little black flowers. And what do you think of the hearts spraying out?
Love it, yeah.
And I guess you could go for a chocolate cake underneath that.
You could do, yeah.
too,
Most people like
so-
chocolate cake, don't they?
And the bows, what are you making of the
Yeah,
bows?
it really sets it off well. I think there's a really good balance of colours. And again, it's got the sparkle in there, so we like that a lot.
I've just noticed the sheep have actually got pink little
They are,
ears.
yeah, they're brilliant.
And of course
very
you've got
inventive, whoever.
the bow, the black bow matches and marries it as well.
Yeah.
Why unicorns?
Just because they're, I suppose, a little bit fairy tale, and I didn't know you could actually get unicorns for your wedding, so I thought they were quite a novel idea.
I love the fact you've got the otherworldly unicorns
Yeah.
and basic common garden sheep.
Yeah, who knows, yeah.
Great, all of life is there. So now then, Becki, we'll turn to our third and final cake.
Wow, pink glitter this time. Really nice contrast of colours. It's definitely a sparkler on this one, which is great. With the different layers, again, I think you could have the different flavours if you wanted to do that. The cake topper goes well, it's got the pink and the white in there. Again, it's very glamorous, fits within the theme, but not too over the top and not too gaudy, which some of them could have possibly been.
What about the little bows here? You've got the glitter with the roses and the pink bows.
I wouldn't say I'm sort of a massive ribbons and flowers girl as such.
And don't you love that second layer, the way it's got the pink, then the white,
With
and
the
then
two
the pink
colours, yeah, they're
with the white on
very
it as
clever,
well.
yeah,
So you could
very pretty.
envisage this one. I'm sure you could envisage all
All
three.
of them would be more than welcome, absolutely. Yeah.
You're only allowed to choose
Oh.
the one, I'm afraid. So Becki, before your choice, we're going to meet the three cake designers.
Okay.
Well done, ladies.
Brilliant job.
Superb. You've really come up trumps on the theme of pink and white.
Oh, they're all fabulous, thank you so much.
But I'm afraid, Becki, you're going to have to choose just the one. I know you want to take all three back with you, just the one. So please, Becki, is it going to be cake number 1, cake number 2, or cake number 3?
Okay, it is definitely a tough choice. They've all got various different aspects that would fit perfectly, but I think overall it's going to have to be number 2.
Well done. Warmest congratulations.
Thank
Cake
you.
number 2. And you took the brief literally, didn't you, with the unicorns and the sheep?
Absolutely. There was a danger that it could get a little too over the top. Did the unicorn, did the sheep, and I decided to stop at that point.
It's come out fantastic, yeah.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It really is astounding. And thank you, ladies. I don't know how Becki made the choice. I really don't. Have a fantastic wedding.
Thank you so much.
You're going to so love cutting that cake, aren't
can't
you?
wait.
And we'll see you again for another edition of The Great Cake Bake with 3 more top designers and another bride-to-be to meet. Thanks for watching.
Still hungry for more Great Cake Bake? Watch extra clips at weddingtv.com.